Good wrestling day to all you wrestling podcast fans. We're back. It's the Top of Wrestling Podcast. I'm the Professor, and I am jacked to talk about today's episode. We're talking TNA. I don't call it Impact. Maybe we'll talk about that as well. But welcome back. We have a lot of news we're going to talk about. And hey, if you're joining us, let's see, you're probably joining us on either Google Play or Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes. There's probably a lot of ways that you are, and I have to say thank you guys so much. It means the absolute world to us that you guys do pay attention and listen each week, and a lot of exciting things coming up, especially over the next couple of weeks. But you know that obviously this show, it can't be done without the hardest working man in podcast land. He's known by three letters, ODM.
The first thing I want to be done is to get that piece of crap off my podcast. Don't just get him off the podcast, get him off of the internet, because I've proved, son, without a shadow of a doubt, you ain't got what it takes anymore. You sit there, you play your guitar, and you sing your songs, and it didn't get you anywhere. Talk about your songs, talk about House of the Rising Sun. House of ODM says I just whipped your ass. All he's got to do is go buy him a cheap bottle of allergy meds and try to dig back some of that courage he had in his prime. As the king of the podcast, I'm serving notice to everyone of the podcast superstars. I don't give a damn what they are. They're all on the list, and that's ODM's list, and I'm fixing to start running through all of them. And as far as this Promo Wars episode is considered, son, I don't give a damn if it's the Professor or Simon Miller. ODM's time has come, and when I get that shot, you're looking at the next podcast champion. And that's the bottom line, because ODM says so.
Okay, all right. You know what? I was fine heading into this fucking show. I was feeling good. I was in a good mood. And then you not only start talking shit Promo War style, which is, all right, you know what? Maybe I had it coming. I did take a couple hair shots last week.
Hey, man.
However, you put Stone Cold in charge of yelling at me and saying all this shit. But not only that, calling out my fucking allergies. I can't control those, man. What the fuck?
Yeah,
I know. I sniff after everything I say.
It was too good.
Wow. That was, as soon as you said the allergies thing, I go, motherfucker. I go, oh, Promo Wars is already kicking off.
Got to get some practice, man. Got to get on those reps.
Hey, man, the baddest son of a bitch here with us today. I like that. That was, I got to be honest. All right, I knew who it was, so obviously I'm not,
The voice sucked, but...
Man, where was the... Son, you had to get a little, more of a hossy kind of...
I can't, yeah, I don't know, man. I was trying to... I didn't want... I got to a certain point, I can't just keep changing my octaves and how deep I'm going, so I'm just going to run with it.
Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
No.
Okay, well, every time they would reference... smoking the herb, they would be like, and I had a giant sandwich. So I was just going to say, if you had a really, really big sandwich, like How I Met Your Mother, maybe you'd have that raspy voice.
Yeah, right. Well, or maybe it just doesn't affect me that way anymore. I don't know.
But you know what, though? I like it. You worked in some good shit this week. I just went back and listened to your Scott Steiner opener, because just how you did everything, it was just
that one worked out well
because you had to take a lot of current events just to put it into that. In it was damn good.
Got David Arquette in there too.
That's true. Oh, there's number one for the day. Oh man, so it's been a interesting couple of days since we've last talked with each other. Let's see, last Wednesday, by the time our show aired, you already knew that the man, Becky Lynch, was giving birth. We talked to you about that.
Well, she wasn't giving birth. She found out that she will be giving birth in the future.
Well, the plan is for it. I didn't mean she was dropping the kid then and there. But since then, there's been a lot of things that have popped up in just the last couple of days. But I want to talk about your take, ODM, before we really get into the news. I'm curious. Did you hear about what your man, Corny, our man, we both like Cornette, what he had to say about how Becky and WWE handled her pregnancy. He said situation or segment or angle, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't really an angle, but, it's... did you happen to hear what he said?
I did. You probably hear me reference corny at least once a week on this show.
Sure.
If anything you can be guaranteed of is that it's more than likely that I will have listened to Cornette's podcast by the time we record. That was for the listening audience. I did. So I heard it. That was Friday's show. So I either heard it Friday. I think I listened to it Saturday. So, yeah, listen. I don't agree with everything he says. And that I understand what he was trying to say, but he said it as Jim Cornette. And especially
he said it just as outdated as that joke he did in NWA that got him fired. Yeah.
Listen, the woke people will jump all over him and saying he's being misogynistic, and I don't believe that for a second. Now, I don't know the guy. I could be dead wrong. But from my perspective, he thinks in a tunnel, right? He's just focusing
he has tunnel
on the
vision,
way,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the thing is all he was saying is, I think what he was trying to get at was, she is the top of the company. She is the top man. She's on the cover of the video game. She's on the cover of the semis that drive down the road. She's on everything. And now that's gone. Now, hey, who gives a shit? If that's what she wants to do, then that's what she wants to do. More power to her.
What is he saying? Abort it? Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but is that his option?
No, I think he's saying is you wait until you're done, and when your career starts to downslope, then you can go ahead and start a family. But you know what? That's not reasonable, and that's not his decision.
But she didn't say that was her plan, did she?
I have not heard any hard, details on the whole thing. So the only thing that I did hear was that she took multiple tests. Because she got like the first one wrong, and then yeah, I don't know, man. It is what it is. Listen, I'm not losing sleep over it. I definitely understand how it could come across as a really shitty thing to say, but at the same time, I'm not judging.
That wasn't even the shittiest thing he said that week.
I know, right?
Because I'm going towards next Dana Brooke.
Yeah. Oh, that one.
I'm not even gonna. All I'm gonna say is I think he's just. Yeah, that's the problem. The problem I have with Jim Cornette is that yes, he is outdated with his look on wrestling's path and his own just personal views in life. Sometimes we give him that bend, right? You're like, it's kind of like. Well, I mean, my grandma, she grew up in that era, so she's just a giant racist. It's okay. We all kind of have grown to understand it, right? You're just like, But he's not too old that he can't learn new tricks or, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has a one-way thinking mind.
Sure.
He's never been a fan of pretty much anything women in wrestling. So for him to open his mouth and say anything at all, I'm like, you're kind of out of touch to really say anything like that, man. Like, and I'm like, she's a good hand, I think, wrestling wise. I mean, she's not your Bayley and Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, but those people don't get there without a Dana Brooke or some of the other people who are on the undercard, if you will. Taking a stab like that is just fucked up because he's a fucked up looking person just in general his entire life. Looking like a giant dork. And I love the dude. I love listening to his podcast. But how can you shit on her at all? So for him, I'm like, fuck you.
Sure. But I'm going to put myself out there to be persecuted. Luckily, only like 5 people listen to this show. So, I mean, I'm not concerned about it. And even if you want to take a shot at me, our social media stuff, hit me up. Okay. The fact of the matter is, having watched Dana Brooke for a couple years, the work she has done is severely noticeable, okay?
And better than a lot of the people that they push.
Yeah, you can say that and not be a mean person. I am not trying to slander her. I am not trying to be rude, okay? But the fact of the matter is, it is clearly noticeable, okay? He just took that statement to the nth degree, and he was a dick in doing so. There was no reason for him to get that hardcore about it. But he's a shock jock, right? So the funny thing is he's like super liberal. But the far left hates him because he still talks like an old Southerner. from the 70s, you know? So, yeah, I don't waste time on it. I laugh at the things I think are funny.
It's an eye roller, but I
Yeah,
figured, you know what? It's on other wrestling fans' minds. Let's just
Sure,
bring it up here in the
absolutely.
beginning quick.
Yeah.
But no, it was a total eye roller where you're just like, oh, fucking Cornette. Like,
Yeah,
that was
I know,
exactly
right?
my reaction.
Oh,
I
same
didn't
here, yeah.
read
I'm
too
like-
deep.
Well, you know, and that's the thing. It was, okay, we're going to be seeing this on Twitter in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and, some other news. One thing I actually want to personally bring up, and then I'm going to, pass it over to ODM for the real news because he is the man in charge of our news. So today, obviously, I know we almost do this every week and kind of pull back that curtain, but okay, yes, we're recording on Monday because I'm not sure where we're going to be in 2 days when this gets released. But former WWE superstar, member of Crime Time, that's Shad Gaspard, he was in a boating accident, and with the rip current that he was facing, and I believe it was in Florida, if I'm not mistaken, he's gone missing, and for the last more than 24 hours, I believe now at this time, they just pulled the search crew, and according to Dave Meltzer, who has contact with someone who was there, they were pulling the crews out of the water, and someone who is close to Shad's family said it's bleak, it doesn't look good. Again, so I'm not sure if things have either progressed into a positive or negative way by Wednesday, but hopefully they find him. But I obviously by this time it can't be good. So which and you and I were talking before the show. That's why I like the Street Profits or the Private Profits or the Street Party.
We agreed on this a while ago, and we still don't remember. Private Profits.
Yeah, but they remind me of Crime Time. It's just it's a fun act, and it's never stale. So we hopefully we wish you guys the best, and hopefully that he does have a recovery and be found. But ODM, hit me up. Any positive news this week?
Yeah, well, two things that just came to mind before I even get into the news is, one, you were talking about Private Profits, and on Being the Elite today, they set up a match for next week's Being the Elite, which is going to be Private Party versus Bones, I think his name is, face-painted guy, and a stuffed teddy bear. So, bye-bye Private Party. Anyway.
I think the best thing
at least
that
it's
could
on
be
Being
done,
the Elite.
Well, I was going to say, I think the best thing that could be done is maybe Nick and Jack, Nick and Matt should maybe stop doing that and maybe put a little more effort into Dynamite and the rest of your shows, because your storylines suck there. So I'd work on that instead of working on your YouTube channel. You're over. People know you now. We don't need to have the Being the Elite show. It's gotten worse. I don't mind it. I've tuned in a couple of times when Matt Hardy would be on there and things like that, but for the most part, I haven't really paid attention too much because I think it got stale, and I kind of miss the originals of Marty Scurll, and even Adam Cole being in there back
Fat
in the
ass
day. It was
massa.
yeah, like, oh my god, yeah, like, it's just the original stuff was way better.
Sure.
And I feel like it really capped off perfectly. I feel like at All In, especially when Adam Page rose from the dead and there's the whole boot thing, and then you also had
oh my god,
the Dicks,
with
Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan.
I feel like right there would have been the perfect culmination of that show, and we're like, our work here is done, because it got over onto they should have stopped there. So what else do we have?
All right, well, WWE's announced their brand-to-brand invitation, a.k.a. the wild card rule. It looks like USA is trying to boost their ratings, so they kind of want to do a superstar swap. Sounds kinky. Apparently, there's a rule that a superstar is only allowed to move to the other shows a maximum of 4 times in 1 year. I don't know if that's a kayfabe rule or if that's like a network contract rule. And I don't.
That
really
is going
give
to
a
be
shit.
broken within like 3 months tops.
Yeah, I think Charlotte Flair's broken it in 1 week.
Oh man, it's funny because
It's not funny.
All right,
it's not
first of all,
funny at all.
no, it's no, you're right. It's absolutely not funny. So, first, didn't we already have this? The wild card rule? I mean, like,
Pretty much.
oh wait, but then they said no, we're going official once they went with Fox, that they had to have official brands, which is funny because what? 2-3 months later is January for Royal Rumble, and everybody's bouncing back and forth between shows anyway because they're, Rhea Ripley was NXT champion. You have Charlotte going. It's 100%. You're right. But even more so, they're going to fuck that up in a couple of months because 4 times a year, and go back to that first wild card or whatever.
The big 4.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's funny. You go back to that wild card rule. They said only a maximum of 4 people or 3 people can appear on that show from the other show.
Yes.
That night. And then 2 days later, there was 5 fucking superstars on the show.
Yeah.
So when I say it's funny, come on, man. Some car wrecks are funny to watch. When you know that the person has been driving 90, doing stupid shit, texting, you're like, I'd laugh if I saw this dude roll his fucking car right now. That's WWE. I'd laugh if the car rolled over.
I guess. I got nothing, man. I got nothing. I don't even want to talk about it.
Come on, man. Coming off of that Money in the Bank, there's not much we really could say. Look how horrible it was.
Yeah. I actually decided to sit down and watch SmackDown, and I was kind of pissed off. I could have done a lot more in that 2 hours.
See, I think the mistake was that you sat down to give him any minute of your time at all.
Yeah, well.
Let me tell you something. You start with a different version. You wait a couple hours. Wait till YouTube puts out somewhere someone has the highlights. Watch the 5 to 10 minute highlights. Yeah. No. Actually, some people really do a good job, a good 10 minute where it's not even talking over anything. They just chop it up really well. I don't know which person it was, or I'd give them a little bit of credit right now, but watch that. If that appears good, then go back and watch it. Don't waste your time, brother.
Yeah, I know.
We got better things to prep for. Like our show.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, the next thing that we're going to talk about on the show is Sami Zayn got stripped of the IC title.
I said let's talk positive news, and all you've done is just throw bullshit my way.
I know, man. So we'll get there.
You know what? I'm going to let you vent first on this because I know you have something to say.
I don't think he shouldn't have got. Listen, everything's just fucked on this. Okay, Sami Zayn should have been a champion well before this. And then, for just some reason, when they finally put a title on Braun, they take it off of him to give it to Sammy, who hasn't really wrestled in a year. No, maybe not that long, maybe 6 months, but once in a year. So now, because he doesn't want to come in because of the pandemic, they're going to just strip him of the title. And they didn't even do it like they did with Jordan Devlin or with... who else did they strip of the title? There was somebody else. Or the title... oh, Jesus. Anyway.
No, I'm with you. But they did it in a more
it was just
definitive...
Yeah.
It was a better way. This one, they just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
And I'm not cutting off your vent because, believe me, I don't want to take any words out of your mouth, but I have plenty to say.
Yeah, that's it. So I'll just get to the brass tacks here. Daniel Bryan defeated Drew Gulak. More to come on that. And the winner, so Daniel Bryan is actually going to face the winner of Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy, which, I mean, when you look at 2 established workers, it should be a good match. Whether it is or not is a different story. AJ Styles and Nakamura are going to fight. Hopefully we get something good. Both.
I hope he low blows him.
I hate you so much. I mean, these are, 2 of my favorite wrestlers. So, and they're going to put on.
But AJ's heel. They're both technically heel.
Yeah. I don't care, though.
So maybe AJ kicks him in the dick on this one and kind of gets his revenge.
And they're going to, the winner of that match is going to face Elias. Seriously, of all the things that you fuck up on a week-to-week basis, you keep pushing Corbin. You put the U.S. title on him for 6 weeks, maybe. This is your chance to put the IC title on him. He's on every show every week.
Gets the hottest heat.
And the belt is on TV. That's what you want with the goddamn Intercontinental Championship. Why not have him win? When I saw that matchup, I said Corbin's going to win. Corbin's going to be the IC champ. And the first fucking round, he's out.
I hate when that happens in a tournament, when you call someone to win and they go out in the first round.
I don't even care about being right. It's just the right thing to do. So, all right, I'm done. I'm done. Your turn.
Okay. All right. So, no, tag in. Beautiful. So, Brock Lesnar goes away for like 6 months at a time with a fucking championship, and that doesn't matter. And now all of a sudden they're going to pull this 30-day rule shit. All right. Many things I have to say on this. First, WWE said if you do not feel comfortable working during this pandemic, we got you. Don't worry about it. Sami Zayn didn't feel comfortable. And by the way, you won't be penalized. You won't lose your place on the card. Nothing. Sami says, well, I think that's good, man, because I can't. And if I'm not mistaken, he's in Canada. You cannot travel right now, country to country. Canada will not allow him to leave. And the same goes for, and I just read on this, would be Bobby Robert Roode, whichever one he is. And
Lesnar, too.
Lesnar, but there was one more person, I believe, who's in a tag team. Maybe it was just NXT. But that's the whole point, is that they can't go. Sami has earned that championship by now. He just defended it at WrestleMania, and you're stripping him of it? Now, Sami, you can't tell if he's working or if he's really pissed, but he says on his Twitter, I don't give a shit what anybody says. I'm still undefeated. I'm still your Intercontinental Champion. And then goes on to say, anybody who's in that tournament, you should feel ashamed of yourselves. Again, I'm like, work or shoot? Not sure, because I see it both ways with how he's saying it.
Could be both.
Yeah. And I'm going to mess up her last name. Deanna Purrazzo. That got released.
Purrazzo.
Yeah. She just did an interview, and she said that it's bullshit if anybody thinks that the releases weren't part of the pandemic thing just because of cuts. It's if you decided you didn't want to work. They were actually taking that into consideration. Now, I ask you, does that make sense as to why Roman Reigns has been completely edited out of things? They're like, you're our John Cena. You're our biggest star. You are the face. And you're going to say no to WrestleMania? You're going to say no to all of this? It's a guess. It's a hunch. Again, we also said maybe it could be a storyline leading to something, which I don't know. I mean, but he has been heavily edited out of. He's been Chris Benoit.
Almost.
So I got to be honest, man. I'm pissed off more. I mean, I was mad when they started releasing everybody. I was like, how dare you do this? I mean, you heard us, right? We lit into it because we were like, how could you do this to people who need it during this time? You need the job, you need the security, and you fire your most loyal employees, some of them. And now we're finding out they are taking into consideration whether you did or did not decide to come to work because of the pandemic. And I'm like, they went back on their word, and they did so both publicly, and they look like assholes for it. So that's all I got to say about it. I mean, same thing.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, there is a positive. Someone is not in contract with WWE anymore, but that was by their own terms. And that is the Icon, Sting. And there's been some rumors floating that he may be showing up at Double or Nothing, which is this Saturday. I don't know if that's true, if he would be showing up there. But we do know, a big name that came out of this week, there is a big name who is showing up to Double or Nothing. If you know the real Professor, giant boxing fan. And if you know the Professor, he'll fucking bite you if he needs to win a fight. And I am like that man. Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson is going to be presenting the title to the first ever TNT Championship winner, whatever, between Cody and Lance Archer. We're going to get into our predictions as to who you think's going to win in that card. But I did not expect to see Mike Tyson be anything involved with this. But it was originally supposed to be in Vegas, and it's moved to Jacksonville.
Daly's place where they've been doing Dynamite lately.
Right.
Couple weeks.
So And have you seen the recent videos of Mike Tyson sparring or punching the trainer with the mitts?
Yes, I have. I'll put it this way. I actually was just listening to him on Rogan. It was an older episode, but it was a great show. Like you, love Mike Tyson. He's changed. He's a little bit older, right? I would not want to be within a mile of him if I pissed him off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hangover. That was a very joked up version. I don't think that he would have reacted anyway like that.
I think he could murder somebody very easily. He's Mike Tyson, man. He's Mike Tyson. That's it. I got nothing. No introspective words.
Did you ever see the movie that used to be on HBO? It came out in '95. It was just called Tyson.
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
One of my favorite parts is when he's in the street and Leon Spinks starts talking shit to him after already losing. And he goes, "Didn't I already knock your Jerry curls out of your head?" And then he goes and knocks him real hard right on his ass with no gloves. And he
I remember the picture,
right there, man.
I remember the picture.
Oh my God. So major fan. I loved it when he was at WrestleMania 14. Hated his 2010 bullshit DX stuff because I hated that version of DX.
Yeah.
When they were just way past their prime and doing poop and fart jokes. Huge fan of Tyson being involved with this. I mean, to me, honestly, he's a WWE Hall of Famer, and that's another F you to WWE. We got your boy. And
yeah.
We're going to do something with him. I think how it's going to go down, Lance Archer wins the title. It's going to be kind of a WrestleMania 14 knock to how it ended with Michaels and Tyson. I think that Lance Archer is going to take the title, like rip it out of Tyson's hands or something like that and get in his face, and I think he's dropping him with a right. Not good for Lance Archer's...
No.
Or he goes to take the right and Archer takes him down and Tyson takes a bump.
Ooh.
I don't know if I want that, as I thought.
I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, because then you're going to make him look weak for some reason. But there has been
that.
rumors that there could... I mean, I keep seeing pictures, and I don't know if it's full of shit or not, but I keep seeing Tyson Holyfield 3 in a possible charity event or something, or at least a charity boxing match or something. I was like, I don't care if it's in a bingo hall.
I'll pay $100.
I want to see it just one more time.
$100.
Yeah. Oh,
I
want to see him come out of retirement.
Whatever. It's cool.
Dude.
I got it.
I still love boxing. I mean, it's nothing like it used to be.
No.
But man, I'm excited about this. And it's because, look at this. I mean, WWE like, haha, we're taking Tyson Fury and all these guys. All right, well, we're going to take the real name, man. We got Mike Tyson. We got the real boxer.
Right.
Let us know. I mean, I'm not saying anything about Tyson Fury, but you want to do something? Let's have Tyson versus Tyson. Fury versus Mike Tyson. I would... Come on, have him go after the belt. Could you imagine that? Just one time. Fucking Foreman did it in his 50s, right? He became champ again in 40s or 50s. Yeah. Tyson, the way he looks, he could beat a 20-year-old any day who's in their best condition. I think imagine the money that would sell if we went Tyson for Tyson.
Again,
we're going to have to do an entire boxing episode soon. All right. Any other news that we got going here?
I don't even know where we are. We kind of just blended in a bunch there. So
that's true.
NXT announced, they made an announcement for last week's NXT, and ultimately it was underwhelming, I think. But I think the announcement is pretty goddamn cool. They're going to do the next NXT takeover is going to be in your house.
In your house tonight. That used to be the
fucking
theme.
Fantastic. You know what future list? Top in your houses.
Ooh. Damn.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to make it in time before. Well, if they're doing that June 7th, we only have a couple episodes left.
We can do it when we come back. Perfect, because this one will have passed. Maybe.
Or, since we are kind of within timing of it, maybe the day that we do Promo Wars, we could just throw a quick countdown in there because that sounds good. I loved In Your House.
Yeah.
2-hour shows. And actually, I went to one of my favorite ones
in
was
Rochester.
Revenge of the Taker, the night that Austin and Bret Hart main evented in just a regular wrestling match. I don't think it was even a no DQ. And this was only about a month removed from the WrestleMania double turn.
Mm-hmm.
And, all right, first of all, this is also the night Undertaker lit Paul Bearer's face on fire, which is so cool.
Jesus.
And Mankind went headfirst into the announcer's table. And because they had like the black cloth across it. The way it looks like there was a hole there and he jumped right into the middle the way it looks. But that was one of my favorite spots. But my favorite thing about that pay-per-view was the next night on Raw when Austin and Brett came out in jeans and had a huge street fight, and it ended with Brett being taken away in an ambulance, which was the big push of the Hart Foundation and everything. So, loved In Your House because they were perfect mini events for your big four or even big five or whatever at that time because they had King of the Ring. Wish they would go back to this. Don't give us these really, really long, drawn-out pay-per-views every 3 weeks. A couple-hour one like this isn't too bad. The name of In Your House, at least that whole theory. The fact that they're doing it with NXT, very cool. The fact that they had Hunter, Sean, and Road Dogg. Fuck me. I mean, Jesus, they could have done anything for a promo. I would have let Undisputed Era maybe make that promo, which, speaking of, Adam Cole, now the longest reigning NXT champ in history, was also the only 3-time Ring of Honor champion and also the longest reigning PWG heavyweight champion of all time. A stat came out on that, and I was like, the dude is this era's king. He is the best.
Yeah.
Other names get tossed up way quicker. Like, and we'll be honest, Styles, Omega. I think Cole really, really kind of gets a little bit shortchanged. Maybe because he's in NXT only, but look what he did in November. I love talking about that. That he went on like a 2-week stint where he was on every show and then was at the pay-per-view and won at the pay-per-view.
Yep.
So, yeah. No, wait, did he win that match?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. That's right. Huge fan of Adam Cole. So, longest reigning champ. That's cool. Heading into In Your House, that'll be June 7th. Who's he going to face? You think they're going to pull? No, I don't think they're going to pull him versus Baylor because now it looks like Baylor is in a random feud that I didn't see coming.
Priest, yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny because you just said last week or 2 weeks ago, you go, I don't know, I guess they're just done with him because he just lost that match and they just squashed the shit out of him. Only to have him be the mystery attacker to Finn Balor?
Yeah.
Baylor is your top guy right now on that show next to Adam Cole. And you put Priest in there? Okay.
Yeah.
Way to go, WWE.
Yeah. It's still leeching in there, right? Blow by this one real quick. Young Bucks and Adam Page are set as of now to return at Double or Nothing this Saturday. So, yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about that match, too. We'll get there.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there. So throwing back to the whole IC tournament that's now going on, after Drew Gulak and Daniel Bryan fought and actually had a really good match, I wouldn't have minded another 5-10 minutes on that one. It was a solid match.
I would have liked a draw, and they said they had to go a couple more rounds because it was just, dude, I loved watching those guys go at it. Even before WrestleMania, they had several matches.
And and apparently Drew's gone. So there's a lot more news that came out today, and I'm going to be quite honest, I just didn't jot it down. I just kind of wanted to.
No, I didn't either, but I did see that the contract negotiations are not at full end.
Right.
But
Exactly.
he is been pushed to the alumni section.
Yes.
On their website.
They do that.
Says
That's
a lot.
Standard. That's pretty standard, though. They do that all
Oh,
the
I know.
time.
That's like in the company I work for
Yeah.
during the day. As soon as someone's let go, we all have fun and go right to the director to see how soon HR took their face off of there.
Right.
It's amazing how fast it happens. So, man, I was surprised at that, too, because when I got that alert on my phone, I go, wait, is it me or did I not just read that him and Daniel Bryan wrestled on SmackDown? I go, maybe Daniel Bryan faced someone else and I missed it. And I go back, I go, no, he was a part of that show.
Yeah.
That quick, he's gone?
Yep. It's a damn shame, too. They were just pushing him.
I know. Unless he just, who knows, maybe he wasn't a fan with how, and this is my personal speculation, so we know that I hold absolutely no weight to any rumor in the world, but maybe he is standing up for some of the guys that were let go. Maybe he's standing up for what's right with how things are going with the pandemic. Because, this This is the most exposure he's ever had, ever. I mean, he was good on the indies and known, but I don't think that many knew who he was until getting on the main roster, or at least into the Cruiserweight Classic and stuff like that years ago.
At best, the Cruiserweight
Yeah, so,
Classic.
I mean, even me, myself, I didn't really know
Same
much
here.
about him. So, I don't know, man. Some people do walk away from morals as opposed to pay. We'll see what's going on. But yeah, on Friday's show, gone by, I think it was Saturday.
Yep. All right. So, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
I was actually just going to take over this last one for you because you and I texted about this over the last week, and I don't think we really talked about it on our show yet. If you guys have not had the chance, you got to listen to Talk is Jericho. And why I bring that up is the old former Revival, who are now the Revolt. Awesome interview. Those guys are just so awesome to listen to. I think we talked about this already last week with their interview. Did we talk about it last week?
We did. We certainly did.
That's right. Okay, so, which is really funny that after that interview comes out, now the Revolt gets a cease and desist letter from WWE, basically because
not
the
from
name.
WWE. Not from WWE.
Well,
It's
I'm sorry, it was not WWE.
It's from an It's from an indie tag team that is called the Revolt.
Which
is,
man, and I got to be honest with you, I can't give away some of my own personal backstage stories, the off the record ones that I've had with some indie wrestlers or indie promotions. But WWE has paid, and I'm saying WWE has. I know this is not the WWE, but maybe if they went to AEW or wherever, that company would pay for the rights to it. Finn Balor's 100% gimmick was not his gimmick. Like the Demon King, the paint, like how he looks in WWE's version, that was basically bought out from someone on the indie scene.
Oh.
So that being said, this other Revolt team is not going to hit anywhere as high as the Revival probably will with that name.
No.
So I could see if they signed a Tony Khan, let's say. Tony's like, I'll buy them out. Don't worry, I'll get the name. So what I'm saying is that cease and desist, they may still stay with the name, or they may just say, fuck it, let's go with something else. But I'd like them to be the Revived. I really think that would have been the best name.
Yeah, that would have worked.
Yeah, so yeah, that's if you want to dig a little bit deeper into what I was saying. But yeah, so who knows? Maybe I didn't know that. I thought that was actually from WWE.
I thought
the way
it
it's
too
written in
when
the
I
notes,
first
you
read it.
actually specifically have there, not from WWE. My dyslexia said, I think he means to say it's WWE.
That would be your expectation, yeah. Apparently, the Revolt's legal representation has replied saying, "Oh no, we're not calling ourselves the Revolt. It's just part of our trademark of FTR because we're going to be called FTR. FTR stands for Fear of the Revolt, amongst other things. So we're actually FTR is our tag team. So I don't know where that's
Fear
going to
the
go.
Revised.
Yeah, I know, right? You should just leave it at that. So here's the deal. I did not put this on the news, and I forgot to. But it does need to be discussed for a couple reasons. Episode 2 of The Last Ride premiered yesterday on the WWE Network, or on Sunday. So, a couple things. One, I did not need to see that much of his hip surgery. It was only maybe 10, 15 seconds. Didn't need to see it. I didn't need to see the power drill. I didn't need to see the mallet tapping into his hip bones. I was good with all that.
I did not see this, and I'm so glad I didn't because I would probably gag. I don't like that shit.
I'm usually not bad with shit like that, and it got me. 2, there was a part where Taker goes to a gym, and on the wall of the gym, they have a mural, and it's a bunch of old superstars, and it's painted, and they show it, but they show it from inside the ring, and God bless WWE for towing the corporate line. I don't know if this was an accident or if they did it on purpose. But when you look, one of the ropes is going right across somebody's face. it goes right across Chris Benoit's face because Chris Benoit is in that mural, and the rope goes right over his face. So if they did that,
though, as soon as like any of them were there and they're looking around, we're like, well, that needs to go.
that ain't
that shot was perfectly set. Absolutely. You know what they did? They purposely slowed it up to the right way, and they go, that's our spot. There we go. Oh, 100%. For as much editing I've done, I know that they did that one on purpose.
It was great. It was great. But here's the thing. So, again, I saw somebody on Twitter, I believe it was Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic, said, WWE holding the rest of this documentary series week at a time is cruel. Just release it. It's been fantastic. So I want to take you back. All right, the first episode.
It's also been the most compelling thing they've done in a long time. So,
right. So
I'm okay with the wait.
So last week I had said, he made a comment about having one more good match as The Undertaker before he can hang it up. And I was like, maybe that's where his career's going. Maybe they're building towards that last match, and then that's it. So the first episode was all about his current state building towards his match with Reigns and it not going well. This episode was him dealing with that. Like, they actually showed him backstage with Roman after his match with Cena saying, I'm really sorry about last year. He even said, he's like, I haven't talked to Roman about it. And it was great. So it was all about the redemption. And then it was the end of the episode was his match, the next WrestleMania with John Cena. Preview for next week is him and Kane versus DX in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. I can't wait to hear what he says.
And just some of the clips were awful. Even Triple H and Shawn Michaels were like, yeah, it was a shit show. We had no right to do that. Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. I think this is a 5-part series. So
makes sense, because then Reigns, the next after that would be
Reigns, Cena, Brothers of Destruction and DX, Goldberg,
Boneyard. Oh, geez, that'll be a fun one too.
Boneyard match. I think Boneyard match was his last match. Now here's the other thing.
You think they're going to reveal at the end? He's just going to go, and that was my last match.
I think in the second episode, he's doing contract negotiations with Vince McMahon, and it just came out that I think he signed with WWE to like 2035. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean he's going to wrestle, right? But
I know. I saw
he's a lifer. Right? Yeah.
Oh, he's always going to be a lifer. So you saw the part where Vince McMahon cries when asked about him.
That was the best thing, and I don't give a shit if he's a salesman and he did it on purpose. It was beautiful as a piece of art.
He did because we've seen him cry in the ring before when Triple H fired him.
So, but that's where I think they're going. Again, this second episode was absolutely fantastic. But I think, like you said, I'm not even joking. Last episode, they're like, it's going to just be him just talking to the fans and saying, listen, thank you for everything, but I gotta call it. We're done. Now I'm Mark Calloway. The Undertaker's gone. I think that's how it's going to end. Wow. And I'm cool with that. Because here's the thing. In the
I was
first
just trying
episode,
to think,
the first episode, they played off like he meant to retire. Like, he left his gear in the middle of the ring, not as a work or as a swerve, but he meant to retire. But then he was
wait. You mean... The plan was 100%. That was his retirement. He dropped all of his gear there. But the problem was he wasn't happy with that, and he wanted to go out on better terms in a way.
That was definitely part of it. 6 weeks after Mania is when he had his hip replaced. So he had his second hip replacement. And dude, he's up and walking the next day. He's fucking good to go. And then he's like he had his contract negotiations with Vince. And that's where he's kind of saying, it's like, listen, I'm not planning to wrestle, but if you need me, I'm ready to go. Then he's watching the match back, and he watches the match back, and he's like, fuck that. Then he starts training, and then after his match with Cena, he's like, I wish it was longer, because it was basically just a squash match, but he looked good. He did look good.
It bothered me. That whole thing bothered me because Cena played like a rookie schoolboy who's never been on the big stage. It was kind of stupid. Like him sitting in the crowd, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But that's also the limited skills that Cena's had in the last several years. He hasn't really done shit.
Right.
I mean, this year was probably the most we've seen him do at a WrestleMania in several years, like physically. And I don't think he really took many bumps. You know what I mean? Like he just pumped iron really, really, really fast. In regards to this documentary, I haven't watched anything other than a couple of random YouTube clips. I just haven't had the opportunity to sit back and watch them. One I did see is, if I'm not mistaken, that gym you were talking about, is that the one that has Boom on the wall?
I think it is the same one. I think.
And where he said, like, the guy here, he's like, this place is called hell for a reason.
Yes.
And it ends up being like a 90-degree day. You see him like he's overheating. Yep. Yeah. So, and you're seeing him throw tires, throw all this stuff around. I'm like, I can move. He's pushing one of those, I don't know, like a shoulder tackling kind of thing that you would see like for football players.
Weighted
I'm not sure
down.
what that. Okay, yeah. And I'm like, he's pushing that pretty fast, like and you could tell it wasn't sped up, like looking at it. And I was like, oh, this is, I'm like, the dude, maybe, and you hear him saying, he's like, or one of the, maybe it was this one I read, but it was a part of the thing that he said he doesn't watch his matches back. Like on WrestleMania, the next day for Monday, it's always playing in the catering and stuff, and all the guys are all chilling, watching their matches. He doesn't. He said he doesn't want to hear anybody go, oh, that was really good, or good job with that. He goes, I need to know where I messed up so I can not make that mistake again. But he didn't watch that Reigns one for quite a bit, and then when he does, he was severely disgusted. Man, it's funny because I was mad that he didn't retire after 33.
Yeah, same here.
I think it would have been cool for him to retire after Brock. But the 33 was, I mean, I remember the consistent thing everybody was saying online. I'm not crying, you're crying. That was a great, excellent send-off.
Yep.
And, oh, man, for him to come back, I was like, no.
And it was the first time he broke character.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Taking the gloves off, kissing his wife, all of it.
Kissing,
So I'm okay. Now, if he's like, but I got one more match and it's this year's WrestleMania, I'll be disappointed, I think, because now I like your idea better. I would love for the very last sentence just be, and that was my last match. It just goes pitch black like the end of Sopranos. You know what I mean? Like, boom.
It's perfect.
Oh, man. I'm on board. That's cool. So
that is ODM's prediction of the week.
That could be the prediction of the year if that one plays out like that. That'd be really cool. Let's see how the days of the week go. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Wednesday Night Wars!
Big night for both brands, I think. NXT opens up with a championship match. AEW has just a lot of great things that build towards their pay-per-view. I think they had a pretty good go-home show. So, ODM, you got the numbers, you got the stats, you know how many people were watching. You had your eye on on everyone from the sky. So, tell me, what was NXT and AEW like this past week?
All right, AEW wins again, 654,000 to 604,000. NXT, we've got new tag champions. Imperium defeated Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher.
Did not see that coming.
Did not see that coming either, although, and I'm going to kind of push all that stuff to the bottom.
That's fair.
You did call this. Tegan Nox defeated Jobber. Jake Atlas defeated Tony Nese in the Cruiserweight Championship. Finn Balor lost to Cameron Grimes because of Damian Priest, who revealed himself to be the attacker. Like we talked earlier, I don't get it, but I do like Balor, so I'm going to watch.
But you know what else is actually happening with that? And if you really think about it, Balor, that's a known name. He is established.
Oh, yeah.
Damian Priest needs a feud with an established name. And it's kind of what everybody kept saying about Elias. He just needs the right guy to have that feud with, right?
Sure.
I'd say take the guitar away from him and give him a new shtick, because it's not going to work if he's just a guitar gimmick guy, and I love playing the guitar. But you're pushing two people at the same time. You just pushed Cameron Grimes with a win.
Oh, yeah.
He got a big win over. You're considered the underdog if you're facing anybody on that brand, minus Adam Cole. If you beat Finn Balor, it was an upset.
Oh, yeah.
So that was big for Cameron Grimes, and I think really big for Damian Priest. I'm just shocked how they went about his entire run until now that all of a sudden he's attacking him. But maybe it's a good angle. And like you said, it's Balor. We'll watch.
Yep. Jack Gallagher defeated Isaiah Swerve Scott. Caden Carter defeated Aaliyah. And then earlier in the show, after losing the tag titles, Riddle and Thatcher kind of came to blows, and they set a match for later.
Which
for the main
I
event.
think was so cool. You open with the guys losing the titles, and then they have their fight right in the same show. Not next week, not a month later for a build. Let's fight this out right now.
Yep.
I
Love
thought
it.
that was awesome.
And it was a great match, hard hitting, a lot of submission holds, everything that you would expect from these two. It delivered. I'm fine with a nice lengthy feud between these two. Riddle won. Thatcher had a submission on. Maybe it was the armbar. But Riddle was able to roll him up, and they played it really well. Like, he was struggling. Like, you could see he was trying to do it, and he was just trying to get his footing, and then he got it. And Thatcher was dismayed and just put the armbar on Riddle and just wouldn't let it go, and that's how they went off the air. So, great ending. I would say as a whole, not a lot of substance. Confused about the Damian Priest thing, but the Timothy Thatcher, Matt Riddle stuff, new tag champions, loved it.
And it works because Pete Dunne is away right now. What do you do with Riddle? And, I mean, of course, you knew as soon as they brought Thatcher in for the first match, you're like, oh, something's going to happen eventually with him and Riddle. Perfect setup. I loved it.
You called it, yeah, absolutely. AEW starts off, oh, God. Okay, so here's the thing. Lance Archer and Jake the Snake out, and, again, I told you I reference Corny at least once a week. Him and Brian Last both mentioned it, and I agree with them. This was one of the Jake promos where he's getting the heat on himself, not on Archer. But it was still fantastic. Jake's great on the mic. He looks good.
Do you know what I have an issue with? This segment, these opening segments are now becoming your Seth Rollins segments. That's all it is. They said, we're going to do things different. You're not going to get a real long promo with our shows. They said that. You're not going to have opening promos that last a whole segment. That's pretty much how they open a good chunk of their shows.
I don't think it's that many. We'll have to do a little look back on that. I don't think it's that much.
Well, can I skip ahead to just one thing that I want to say out loud, that I am also going to second the quote from Nightwing. He said it. Can we stop with these long fucking running dives that Cody does from going backstage all the way back into the ring?
You're not the Great Muta.
It's just so stupid. You know what it reminds me of? When he did it the first time, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wasn't expecting it. Like, is he come back some? Oh, he's got a really cool running start. Okay. But it reminds me of the very first time I saw Dean Ambrose get hit, you fall into the ropes, and pop right back up and clothesline him. First time I saw that, I go, that was pretty cool. Second time I go, oh, he did that again. Cool. Third time I was like, I'm over it. And this is what's happening with Cody. Stop it. So that was Nightwing Allen's take on that as well. So.
Yeah. My biggest problem with the whole thing was Cody revving his truck, his custom F-150 or F-450 or whatever it is. And then after revving the engine for almost a minute, driving 5 feet and slightly tapping the barricade. Why? I don't get it. But
it was like you really tried for that really cool Stone Cold type thing with a vehicle, and you came out looking like a kindergartner trying it.
Anybody who cares about your truck already knows what it looks like. You don't need to get it on TV. Don't turn it into the new Brandy, please. So they played a quick video package recapping the evolving tag team division, if that's what you want to call it. And speaking of the tag team division, Best Friends defeated Jurassic Express. There's a few things I want to touch on.
That's who it was. I'm sorry, hang on. I said it was from somewhere else. Dark Order. They are supposed to be pretty much number one contenders right now.
Yeah.
Both those guys are from Canada. That's why they're not on AEW either. With Stu Grayson and the other guy.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. As soon as Brody Lee got here, I just don't care about anybody else in that.
Yeah, seriously.
Let them all just go away.
Evil Uno shouldn't even wrestle. The other guy can go, though. He's all right.
Yeah.
Best Friends defeated Jurassic Express. AEW's got this backwards. Jurassic Express is the team they should be pushing, and Best Friends should kind of be the comedy act.
I think Express in real life, when a crowd is there, they're over way more than Best Friends.
So over, yeah. And it's Orange Cassidy's the only reason Best Friends are over. But there was two things that happened during this match that were just epic and absolutely lovely. Ray Phoenix did a Mortal Kombat jumping kick. Remember the first Mortal Kombat?
Mm-hmm.
It was that fucking kick. I think it was somebody from Best Friends, and he just murdered his face. It was beautiful. And
Wait,
it came
are you
out of
talking
nowhere.
about on the entrance?
Yeah, up on the entrance ramp.
He
yeah.
murdered Orange Cassidy.
Oh, that's
on that
right.
one. And the someone took it and ran with it. They turned that video into that exact Mortal Kombat thing. It actually had the stats and everything on there, like on the video. And when you see him kick him, I go, "Holy shit!" I saw that video before actually getting to watch Dynamite, and I forgot about it. And when it happened, I go, "Oh my god, that was awesome!" Because honestly, I was on board with some of Orange Cassidy's stuff, right? Like him and Pac, like that match, I liked it. It was cool.
That was great.
But I'm over it. So to see him just get the shit kicked out of him with one kick by Ray Phoenix, I clapped silently.
It was great. The other thing was Wardlow just absolutely murdered Marco's stunt. It was beautiful. He just picked
He's
him
gonna
up and
die
threw
in the
him
ring just because
He
he's so little.
is. Yeah, I don't. But I fucking loved it. It was great. They had a 4-way. It was Sheeta, Penelope Ford, Statlander, and Britt Baker. Britt Baker is putting her little lockjaw submission on Statlander on the outside of the ring while Sheeta defeated Penelope Ford. Really, they're pushing Sheeta. We're gonna get to that later.
How is Britt Baker not like a number one contender? She's way more pushed than any other woman on that roster. She is seen on Dynamite more than any other woman on that entire roster. Actually, more than Brandy. How is she not like just your world champ? What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopefully they're building to that. Personally, with Sheeta, I think you look at a subsect of AEW's demographics, and that will speak volumes. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, fair enough.
Omega and Hardy defeated Santana and Ortiz. Solid match. Taz interviewed Darby Allin backstage. Allin didn't say anything. Just walked away. Fantastic segment. What if Sting were to manage Darby Allin?
Nah.
Yeah. Well, I got more. Sting
He's a
theories
loner
for
kind of
later.
guy. I
No,
like the loner part of him.
Agreed. MJF did squash a jobber. It looks like MJF is going to face Marco Stunt next week's Dynamite, or this week's Dynamite, I should say.
But this Saturday, he is taking on Jungle Boy.
Yep, which is going to be a showstopper. I think that's
Told
going
you.
to steal the show.
Jungle Boy is stealing it.
Yep.
He's going to steal a victory somehow.
Absolutely. Jericho squashed Pineapple Pete, which I thought was absolutely fucking brilliant. I loved it. They did the whole Pineapple Pete package, the entranceway. I'm like, wow, they're really going all out in this guy. And Jericho squashed him. I fucking love it. Love it. And then they proceeded to murder
That's good wrestling.
Yep. And then they proceeded to murder Vanguard 1.
Mm-hmm.
So R.I.P. Vanguard 1. Little sip in your honor here. And then Mr. Brody Lee defeated Christopher Daniels. Solid match. Moxley with the post-match run-in. We may not have covered this last week. I might have brushed over it. Brody Lee, or Mr. Brody Lee, has confiscated the AEW championship from Moxley and currently has it in his possession.
We did not cover it, but yes.
Yep. So there is that. So, yeah, man. Listen, again, both shows I still love. I'm still watching. I'm still invested. Again, I care more about AEW. I hate to say it because I don't want to just shit on WWE because NXT is fantastic. But when it comes down to it, man, if you told me I had to pick one, I'm watching AEW.
So you think AEW had the better show?
I do. Comprehensively, I think so.
I got to be honest. For how the whole Thatcher and Riddle thing played out and the surprise with Damian Priest, I actually disagree with you. I'm going to say NXT had a better show this week.
All right.
Just at least progression-wise. But, I mean, of course this one had to progress for AEW because we're doing a pay-per-view. So, I'm with you on that, but all I can say is the interview with Darby Allin, let's just say for that, it is an instance, right? If he doesn't go over this Saturday, what the fuck was that whole segment for, right?
Yeah.
You have to think about these kind of things. He didn't even, for not to say anything at all. But, hell, let's talk about it. We have Double or Nothing this coming Saturday. That's May 23rd. And decent card. Not anything that, kind of like ones that we've seen in the past from them where we're just stoked. I don't see, and I'm going to quickly go down my predictions, and I want to hear yours, but I don't see Moxley losing the title as much as I want him to, only because you never, ever win the title when you've previously stolen it in this kind of feud. It never happens that way.
Right.
Unless they set a precedent and go something different. I mean, shit. Someone Cody pinned someone with a figure 4 leg lock there, trying to think outside the box, so maybe they do that. Deep down, I want to see Brody win, but it needs to be in front of a crowd, so I think Moxley retains.
Yep.
The TNT Championship, I think it's Lance Archer all the way. I don't think Cody wins it. If he does put the belt on himself, I think that he is... When he smashed that throne, he was basically saying, I am about to be the new Triple H. Stampede, or the Stadium Stampede. This is the one I'm actually looking forward to the most out of the entire card. And there's a ladder match, and I'm a giant ladder match fan. But you have Jericho, Santana, Ortiz, Hager, and Sammy Guevara taking on Matt Hardy, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, and the Young Bucks. I am going to go ahead and say, you know who's winning. Jericho's winning this match. They're gonna win. I think just when it comes down to it, I think it's gonna be a good match, but I don't think the faces are going over. The women's match, Nyla Rose wins. I don't think that Shida takes the win, but I mean it is a no DQ, no count out match, so maybe with some outside interference from someone, maybe there is a upset. It's not going to make me any more interested in the women's division.
Yeah, I want to try to care, but I don't.
You just can't. I think Britt Baker goes over Statlander, and I think Jungle Boy does upset MJF. Does Wardlow, is he at their side, and does he get involved and accidentally hit MJF, and maybe he starts a split from them? I think it's too early for that, but something is going to make MJF lose this match. But for the Casino Ladder match, future AEW world title shot. Now, very specific rules to this that I want to get right. There are 9 competitors, and every 2.5 minutes, or 90 seconds, whatever it is, somewhere in that time frame, it's going to start with 2 guys, and a new guy will come out every so often. Is it 90 seconds or
90 seconds?
Okay. However, the match is beginning right away. So if the first 2 guys are out there, they grab a ladder and go to the top. We know it's not happening, and they take it. It's the end of the match before anybody else even comes out of the locker room. Let me run down the list here. Darby Allin, you know where I'm at with him. You have Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Rey Fenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and now a mystery man added. So, I'm going to go ahead and say the mystery man is guaranteed to probably be someone who has been released by WWE.
Right.
Or no, they're at 90-day contract, can they?
I don't know the specifics of the contract, so that may factor in.
It could be someone that was previously gotten out that we didn't think of. But I don't see them pulling anybody random from the indies. You know which one I was curious about? Jeff Cobb. Whatever happened to that?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's just one day, then not.
I think he did it more kind of to boost. Was he Ring of Honor?
Yeah, that didn't help.
Yeah.
All right, so here you go. You got Orange Cassidy, Colt Cabana, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, and Luchasaurus. All of those are not winning. However, I am absolutely, totally happy to see Rey Fenix, Scorpio Sky, or Darby Allin take the win. I think all are deserving, and I would absolutely be okay with Rey Fenix having a singles push.
Sure.
Same with Scorpio Sky. If I had to go in order of wanting someone to win, and this is for a world title shot, Darby's not going to win the world title off of this. Not when you have Brody Lee, Moxley, Jericho, all those guys on top right now. But if you put Scorpio Sky in there, or even Rey Fenix, it's a threat. I'll throw one more for you. I didn't want to say this name, but he's a big fucking dude, and people are behind him, and it could be a credible contender. I'd hate to say this, but what about Luchasaurus possibly winning this?
Yeah, I mean,
I wish that something would happen. He would just lose the mask.
No, yeah, he should lose the mask. I don't know. No, I don't want to see it. I like Luchasaurus. I want to see more of him. I want to see him get better.
Okay, I want him in the world title picture. It's just not now.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Same. All right, that's fair. All right, if I have to pick an overall, I actually am going to go ahead and say Scorpio Sky is winning this, or this mystery man, whoever it could be. But I mean, I just have to say that because it's a wild card.
All right.
So, who do you think?
All right, so I'll go through the list here. I agree with you, Moxley. It's too soon. I kind of want to see Brody Lee get away from Dark Order and just do his own thing, even if it's similar to what he's doing now, but that's a different thing. So, yeah, I think Moxley's going to retain. I'm with you. Lance Archer is going to take it, I hope, anyway. Stadium Stampede, I'm going to disagree with you. I think the faces are going to go over. I think the Elite's going to win. It's the return of Adam Page and the Bucks. You got Matt Hardy in there. I think that's just the way it's pointed.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. Not to interrupt, though, but so if we just drop the whole Adam Page and the Young Bucks arguing with each other, we've also dropped the fact that Adam Page was like an alcoholic and didn't care about anybody else. I mean, and he's just part of the team.
No, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, well, I guess if being the Elite is canon or not, it can influence that, but that's a whole different discussion. So,
I'm just wondering when the riff is going to happen between Omega and Page. It's got to happen at some point.
No, it has to, and that's a good call because it theoretically.
I think it could happen in this match, and they're going to get distracted, and that's how they're going to lose. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, good call, but I'm going to stick with my call.
Okay.
I could see them putting the title on Sheeta, but I think Nyla Rose will win. The ladder match is an interesting one, man, because Allen versus Moxley for the title would be a great show, but
he'd never go over.
No, but is anybody going to go over? That's the thing. It could be Scorpio.
That's funny you say that because that was, and I have to see what this mystery man is. You know, like, how credible is this person? Because I'm 100% with you. No one is when you put him in that title picture is winning it. But I guess if this is who you're giving us, let me take a guess.
Right. Shit, it could be Rusev for all we know, which would be fucking awesome. So, all right, then you know what? I'm just going to say Rusev. I'm going to say Rusev for the ladder match.
Wow.
All right. I do not think Jungle Boy's winning. I think MJF is going to win.
Okay.
Britt Baker agreed, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, but best friends are going to be Private Party.
Oh, I wasn't even bothered talking about that at all.
Yeah,
just for that reason. Man, I think it's going to be a good pay-per-view, one way or another. I still think it's going to be better than most of 2 days worth of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Or the Money in the Bank, absolutely. I don't think there was anything in the Money in the Bank I cared for. I gotta say this, when we're watching NXT, AEW, even a lot of Raw and SmackDown, we're seeing a lot of guys that came from a company that was at one point, I think, one of the biggest threats to WWE. I'm a very, very big fan of Ring of Honor. However, the company that had, I think, the most momentum with TV and just the amount of stars that they were building, but also taking from WWE. I'm talking about today's top topic, TNA. And today, we are talking 25 of the best matches from TNA.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for...
The best there is, the best there was, and the best that there ever will be. Hold to our mark.
So does Rule. Yeah, they do.
Hold answers, I change the questions. I did it for The Rock.
This week's top topic.
You know something mean, Gene? John Cena.
Wrestling's not fake!
The Rolex wearing what? Diamond ring wearing what? Kid stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, what? Limousine right, what? Jet flying, what? Son of a gun, woo!
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
If you smell...
The following ranking order and final decisions are a completely bias-based order, based off The Professor and ODM made it. And as always, they like to let you know they have not worked in the business, but have been lifelong invested fans much like you, our listeners. With not only their opinions involved, but with countless amount of hours of research done each week, they make sure to provide proper facts and history to back it up. However, they do know that your opinion may vary from theirs. If there is anything you want to chat about, bring to their attention. If there is something they missed or forgot, or you just want to let them know they are out of their freaking minds, feel free to shoot them a message on Facebook or Twitter, or email them at thetopofwrestling@gmail.com. As always, they do appreciate all feedback and continued support. At the end of the day, they want to make sure that you do see the best of the best before you die. And now, this week's top topic.
TNA. That's right, not tits and ass. We're talking about total non-stop action. I refuse to call it Impact Wrestling. Impact. Dad, I just want to bring you guys up to speed. That's the name of the show that they had, or still have. I don't even know. But I mean, do you call it Impact? Because that's basically taking WWE and changing your company name to Raw. That's what they did. They just said, we're now called Impact. Maybe it was because they were getting away from the tits and ass. How they didn't think of that 10 years prior when they named the company that is beyond me, but who cares? I don't know. That's just whatever.
Marketing.
I think that was yes. So I will forever call it TNA. I'm excited to talk about this. I was a very, very big fan of a good chunk of a period when TNA was on the rise, or at least at the point where they were contenders or a different show alternative to watch. I would say from the years of 2005, which is about the time I got involved, all the way up till about 2011, maybe 12, were some good years. Well, we're going to go ahead and say maybe up to 2009 were some good years. But then Dixie Carter brought in Hogan and Bischoff, and then we had Hardy going drugged up to the ring, and then we had a lot of bad stuff. AJ Styles was the father of a bastard son with some lady named Becky or Claire or something. I don't know, man. It got weird. But for a good chunk, I was a fan of Aces and Eights, by the way. A lot of people weren't, because it was just kind of their downward spiral. And it's sad because they did have some good matches in the later years with people like Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. The later years were good, but the years of 05 to about, let's say, 2011, 2012 were really just a great alternative to WWE because they were doing things in a different direction. One thing I absolutely love about TNA is they had the Bound for Glory series, and they were doing it basically round robin style where everybody was just fighting each other on the Impact shows. And if you won by submission, you got 3 points. Pin was 2. Count out or DQ was 1. And it went on for several months, and points mattered. And you were really involved each week. And you're like, all right, well, shit, if I really want Bobby Roode to get to the top, he needs to make 3 people submit. Damn, he doesn't have a submission. You know, it was actually really cool to see someone come from the bottom all the way to win. That's how actually Bobby Roode got into the main event of A Bound for Glory, which is their main event. Or I'm sorry, their WrestleMania, their big pay-per-view of the year. So they had a lot of cool concepts. But they also had wrong people running the business. You had Dixie Carter, Vince Russo, everybody's favorite. But I'm not here to talk about the negative. I'm here to talk about the top of what TNA was. They're not this way anymore. I don't think that they're going to be a contender to any brand, probably most likely ever again. That's sorry. I just have to say that. I think Ring of Honor has a better shot, but with AEW, NXT, WWE, I'm going to go ahead and say NWA in that 4th and even MLW in 5th. I still don't think TNA could ever beat anybody. They're just, they lost that momentum. It's gone.
It is.
But let me say, this took me a long time. And I'll say me because as a professor, I have that knowledge, that education. ODM, not really, hasn't really dived in as much to TNA. And we know that. He's an E man for life. So you're going to cry during that breakup, man. You officially break ties. You are going to cry.
I'm already halfway there. I'm already sleeping on the couch.
The problem is when you want to get all your shit back, all your CDs, and you're like, damn it. So,
That was good shit.
Oh, good shit. And a lot of good shit in this. I'll tell you that right here because there were some good matches. And to narrow down to 25, I really debated turning this into a 50-match compilation. I said, nope, got to give the people what they want, what they asked for. So here are 25, but 26 because I always like to throw in an honorable mention. So here we go. With the honorable mention match, the first one is from Lockdown 2012, James Storm and Robert Roode, or Bobby Roode. He changed his names quite a bit throughout this process. I don't even know what to call him anymore. Bob Roode. Bob Roode and... God damn, I love our new names, man. Bob Roode took on Jim Storm. This match, just fucking a bloodbath. They had a cool ending to the match. This is the former Beer Money. And this match is kind of a partial result in a long feud that kind of gets started a little bit later into our list. But let's talk about the number 25 entrant. Talk about a team that James Storm was in, America's Most Wanted, with Wildcat Chris Harris. They took on, at Slammiversary 2004, AJ Styles and the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels. They had 8 months, America's Most Wanted, 8 months that they were holding these titles. And they were stopped on this night. Oh, ruined one for you. Stopped on this night by the new team of Styles and Daniels. Daniels had done a lot of tagging with, if everybody remembers, like Skipper. So this new pairing, I don't think anybody had, maybe people predicted that they would finally upset the champs. I love this match because it's just showcasing so many stars, and except, and I say except, but it sucks, Chris Harris. And I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that story, but the dude was in great shape, looked awesome in TNA, went to WWE, and he may have been he went there with a little more weight than he had at TNA, but he was the victim of some really shitty gimmick booking or whatever it was, and he never led up to anything, and that was it. He had a couple stints in TNA afterwards, but Chris Harris, he was on the same rise as someone like Bob Roode. Isn't it fun, man? We're going to have a Bob Roode hat trick sound soon. Anyway, number 24. This is a partial prelude to what I was talking about with that honorable mention. And I kind of also talked about this with with my intro about the Bound for Glory series. Bob Roode was the winner of the 2011 Bound for Glory series. It was inevitable. Everybody knew he was going to be the world champ and finally be placed in that. I mean, this guy came up from being in Team Canada into a couple of random gimmicks that it was like, cool, your name is Rude, we're going to make you like Rick Rude as well. But then they end up turning him into a tag team specialist with Beer Money, which was one of my favorite tag teams of all time. This isn't going to make this list, but I'm going to say right now, Beer Money versus Motor City Machine Guns, best of 5 series, some of the best tag team wrestling you'll ever get to see. With that, so it was Bob's time. Bob was going to finally become the world champ. And after a 30-minute classic match with Kurt Angle, Angle won on the biggest show of the year. You know, I guess you can't always do the most predictable thing, but he didn't win. Funny thing is, days later, James Storm upsets Kurt Angle on an Impact television show in a match that was less than 2 minutes with just one last call shot to the face, sweet chin music. And James Storm is your new champion. But don't worry, next week, Bobby Roode completely turns heel and finally wins that world title. That was an awesome setup to turning him heel. He didn't have to do something dirty at Bound for Glory. So there was redemption only like 2 weeks after the pay-per-view, but I like how it was executed. But the match between Angle and Bob, just awesome. I hope his name comes up again. I can't stop
you know it's going to come up again.
I hope so. Number 23. This is one of the very first guys to jump ship to TNA, and it's because he knew nothing was being done with him in WWE. Christian Cage. It's the first time he's making our list today, and I'm not going to lie, he'll be back. Christian, of WWE, that same guy, in this match, he's taking on Kazarian in a fight for your right ladder match. Basically a number one contender match. It's your right to, be propped up to the top and taking on the world champ. And this happened at Genesis 2007. A year later, Christian ends up going back to WWE in the most underwhelming comebacks or re-debuts in WWE history. Everybody knew he's a free agent, and everybody had been waiting for Christian to show up, mainly at Royal Rumble, where Matt screws over Jeff for the title. That was actually supposed to be Christian, but McMahon doesn't like people knowing spoilers, so he tried to put it off, and he made him debut on a taped ECW. Dickhead. Sorry. You had me fired up of all the stuff about earlier, man. There's a lot of negative news, man. So, number 22. This is another cool concept from TNA. The King of the Mountain match, where they have the world title involved. I think they've done it a couple times where it was a number one contenders match, same kind of plan, but here's how the King of the Mountain worked. All these competitors, there's multiple in this match. First one to gain a pinfall, or when you do gain a pinfall, your chance is for you to take that title and walk it up to the top of the ladder and hang it. So completely going in reverse of what basically every other ladder match has ever been. You're going to place the title on the hook. In this match, we had Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Christian Cage, AJ Styles, Chris Harris. So very, very big. It's a big match. A lot of big names all in one. And in this one here, no, I'm not going to give any spoilers away on these in case you guys want to maybe take that trip. I mean, WWE spoilers, I feel like everybody just knows.
But I want to know who won now.
I can tell you. Me, because I watched it and you never have. Boom! Damn, I'm just on fire. Me and Bob are killing it today. So, 21. If you guys could just see the eye rolling right now.
You took too much allergy medicine today.
3 times the prescriptive amount. Number 21. Now, this is actually one of my favorite TNA title matches of all time. It really is. Because this is the infamous night that TNA said we are going head to head with Monday Night Raw. Not even just WWE, like a SmackDown. They chose a Monday Night Raw. And I think they prepped people too much that they were going to go live, because once they did, Vince pulled the ultimate trigger. And he pulls Bret Hart onto a Raw where him and Shawn Michaels are in the ring for the first time, and they hug it out. That was a good one. But on this night, the main event, and Hogan just showed up that night. You have Hardy, Ric Flair, everybody. On this night, AJ Styles, I had to remember who's the champ at this point. AJ Styles defends his world championship against Kurt Angle in the main event. They have about a good 20-minute classic match that really could have gone either way. A weird spot from Ric Flair just showing up on the ramp and then gone by the next commercial break. Kind of scouting, I guess, because he did actually end up helping AJ at the next pay-per-view, which is only that week. But that was really, I liked that match because I thought it was your two best competitors. Kind of like this. Let's go back to 2001. Nitro goes off the air. WWE has the opportunity to showcase two of WCW's talents, and they end up using in the main event fucking Buff Bagwell. Okay, so that's your first time showcasing these guys, right? So on a head-to-head night that they are doing, you're in prime time slots. So you're going to have more eyes on you than you originally did, and it's really starting to catch wind that they're going head-to-head. And anybody who, it's kind of like the reason we do Wednesday Night Wars is it was a real big throwback to Monday Night Wars. And in 2010, 10 years ago, we got really excited there was possibly going to be a resurgence of that. It didn't work. It didn't last because they tried to rely on just a lot of old guys. They brought in the Outsiders,
It's what happens.
X-Pac.
It's what happens, man. It happens. It's happening kind of with AEW, too. Luckily, the guys are so old that they're not wrestling. They're just managers, and I'm fine with that. That's cool.
Well, that's true. But look, I mean, you already brought it up. The opening segment was more about Jake Roberts than it was Lance Archer. So
right.
What are we doing? So I agree. Hopefully they don't keep taking that role. I mean, the only one that has not actually been that way has been NXT. They have not relied on older talent.
No.
They may bring back someone.
Established indie talent, maybe, but not old.
Or even established Raw and SmackDown guys like coming back because they were on NXT, but no one's putting themselves down there for no reason.
Sure.
Actually, the only one that's still never understood to me that they did was the OC. Put him down there for 1 week and just never seen again. I'm like, that would have been the best thing with them in Undisputed Era. It wrote itself.
Sure.
That's where I would have went with, by the way, for Survivor Series.
Bullet Club,
I would have done that.
Yeah.
Bullet Club, all in the ring pretty much at the same time. All right, number 20. This is a time that Bob made his way back to our list. Bob Roode takes on AJ Styles. Now, at this time, AJ is pretty much on the way out of the company. We're getting close to it. At this point, this is post the whole Dixie Carter pregnancy bullshit line, all that fun stuff. But Roode was, at this point, about to be the longest reigning TNA champion in history. He was the it factor. And the best way to beat the person who is the highest number of days as the champion is beat that guy. And that's what he did. He took on AJ Styles. This was just a match on Impact. And it happened May of 2012. For a match that was given away on TV, I remember this because I was thinking, because it was very, very open that they were in contract negotiations with AJ, and I said, well, what if they put the belt on him here? This could be the chance. They tried that later with him and Magnus, but Bob Roode, god damn it, I messed his name up. Bob Roode ends up taking the win on it. So it was a good moment for him. I think that he could have gotten the title a little bit sooner, Roode, but when he was a champ, predominantly showcased the right way as a world champion. You know, like CM Punk was a world champion, but he didn't close many pay-per-views. TNA treats that world championship the opposite. They actually did have him close, and it was like 14 pay-per-views in a row. So it's just a shit to see what he's been doing in WWE.
Well, it's funny because I was just about to crack another beer just to talk about this. But yeah, you're noticing a very common theme, and you're going to continue to notice it. With maybe a couple exceptions of AJ and Christian, maybe to some extent. This list reads of people who in WWE never did or accomplished even a fraction of what they were capable of. I think the best thing that we're getting out of this list is maybe Samoa Joe can be a full-time announcer, and that
wasn't the plan.
Bit. It certainly wasn't the plan, but if that's where we got to go, then I'm cool with it. But other than that, yeah, I mean, you look at, like you said, Bob Roode, and obviously Kurt Angle's a different story. It was the opposite, right? He had already.
Now, I didn't even, I mentioned his name in the list already, and I didn't even say that. That was one of the biggest jumps. He says to WWE, "Hey, I'm burnt out, man. I just want to go home and be with my family." And then he debuts as kind of like someone that they didn't see coming, or like they had a quick little promo package about him, and then first thing he does is come in and fucking headbutt Samoa Joe right in the skull.
Yep.
Ugh. Here's the thing. I liked what they did with Angle. I'm not sure if Angle had creative pull when he went there and said, when I come here, this is what I want. But, Sting, I'm sure while being there all those years, he probably had some pull.
You would think so.
But what sucks is that, I've heard WWE say for years, WCW, they didn't know what to do with a Bret Hart. You've heard that exact line. They didn't know what to do with a Bret Hart, and that's why his career failed and blah, 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 blah. They didn't know what they had on their hands. I've heard Vince say it so many times. WWE doesn't know what to do with a Bob Roode. They don't know what to do with an Eric Young. They know what to do with an AJ Styles, but a lot of these names on here that we're talking about, and same thing like you're saying, they're not doing the right things with Roode. They're not the guys who really can go and who have been predominantly pushed as heavyweight champions in other places don't even get a look in WWE.
Just as a real quick side note, since we're talking about AJ here, in the mix of things, and it's easy to make to put him over the way WWE has, because his career speaks for itself. One of the things in the document.
If they shit on him in the beginning, the fans wouldn't have let him. If they put him in like mid card right away, the fans wouldn't have let that happen.
Right.
They had to go the right road with him.
Exactly, and but one of the things in the Undertaker documentary, he's watching one of AJ's matches, and he goes, "That's one of the guys that I want to go with." It's like, I wish I had a chance to go with him. I thought that
damn,
was
I
cool.
really want this documentary to just go all the way out to that point. Oh my god, if you're right, that would be the coolest thing.
So I'm sorry, I took us on a tangent, but yeah, that's
okay. Hey,
I mean, these names
I like
are everybody, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, it's.
And just to throw this out there as a small rumor, Bob Roode is one of the guys that could possibly be the SmackDown hacker. I've seen that name tossed around on a couple of different dirt sheets.
That would make no sense, so I expect
it makes no sense for CM Punk, but his name is very heavily out there, too.
Well, CM Punk's name is always on anything that has to do with speculation.
Now, coming in at number... Where were we? Okay, yeah. Number 19 at Hard Justice 2008. This is a couple years prior to the match that was just given away on TV. There was a Texas death match between AJ Styles and Kurt Angle. We've seen Angle get into some hard brawls. I mean, shit, let's just talk about him and Shane McMahon at that King of the Ring match. Enough said. But when you really look at it, him and AJ didn't have a lot of those hardcore type matches. Both of them, they just kind of changed up their ways this night, showing that they have different types of strengths. This Texas Death Match was very, very cool. Number 18, Kurt Angle's back again. This one against Jeff Hardy at Victory Road. Wait, Jeff Hardy at Victory Road? No. That was the year before. Crazy to see that in a year how things changed for Jeff Hardy. But... AJ Styles, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm sorry. Jeff Hardy and Kurt Angle. This whole angle was Kurt saying that he was pissed off that his son was a Jeff Hardy fan. And we've seen this playing out. People is a John Cena fan, or I think they did it actually on SmackDown with Eddie Guerrero being pissed off that his son was, I think, a fan of... maybe Kurt, I can't remember. Either way, but it was a throwback to that. And it was a good feud between these two guys. This is Hardy's entire redemption year. One of the coolest things, a tiny side note, is I loved that they put the interview interactions backstage. And it looked partially worked, but also kind of the guys were able to shoot and it wasn't scripted. Where Hardy went backstage at his very first show back and going up to guys and saying, hey, I'm here and I apologize for, Victory Road, this, that, and everything. Some guys were like, hey, man, I'm glad to see you're on the right path. Kurt was kind of a dick, and he was like, you got to earn my respect again. AJ lit into him. Oh, my God. AJ was like, you put my family at risk. You put my life at risk. Because he did, man. They really could have closed the company down, showing that you had very little care or concern that you put a guy that drugged out in the ring. as much as I hate to watch it, it's like, that's another train wreck. I like tossing that on every now and then because it's just fucked up to watch. But it's really cool how they handled it, like all those interviews. So if you haven't, check those out. That's kind of cool to check out on YouTube, some of his apologies from backstage. Now, Kurt Angle, he's back in here again. Now, I talked about their hardcore match that they had in 2008, but at Slammiversary, same year, these guys have a match that is just a technician match. A lot of reversals, a lot of submission attempts, working body parts. Very classic match between two classic workers. I'm sure when Angle went to TNA, he had to have been thinking, look, I'm established. I'm a name. I don't think it was I'm bringing drawing power here. I think he really went in with who can I push? Because you look at the names that he worked with, Samoa Joe, Christian. He worked with, he had a good feud with Kevin Nash for a little bit, with Sting. But then you look at Desmond Wolfe, all those guys. I mean, Angle really, I think he did right by being in TNA, and then I think he left at just the right time. But at the same point, he was also having multiple personal problems in his own life with abuse or substance abuse. Either way, Kurt Angle, he's going to be on our list again, I'm pretty sure. Number 16, Christian Cage against Samoa Joe. I will put this out there right now. This was Destination X 2007. This is Christian's best wrestling match ever. This showed that he could be a wrestler and not just a ladder match guy or a spot fest kind of guy as he was with Edge, or even how he was treated in his singles run with WWE. TNA took notice that he could go, and he is the world champion, the NWA world champion, heading into this match, taking on Samoa Joe, who has been going through an undefeated spot, basically, or drift throughout this entire time. Did Samoa Joe win the title here? We know he's a champion, but did he win here, or did he win later? We'll find out right after this break. No. All right. Number 15. This is a huge David and Goliath match from Lockdown 2005. You know, if you guys didn't know, Lockdown, every match is a cage match. I like that. I think it's very cool. Can be probably shitty for whoever's in attendance because you got to look through bars all night long. But either way, cool concept. Made by the man of the hour, baby, Dusty Rose. I think it was close enough.
Dusty Rose.
That's probably the best impression you're ever going to get out of me here.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't make him like a weird Irish or something.
Scottish, yeah. Or opposite. Hispanic, German.
You never get me Lucky Charms. Anyway, but no, David Goliath. We're talking, I think, the best big man ever in TNA. And he had a lot of good guys there, man. I'm talking, Matt Morgan and all those guys. Crimson. I was a big fan of those guys. Hernandez. But the best one that never made it to WWE, the Monster, Abyss. And he's taking on AJ Styles in a steel cage match that the winner is going to be the world champ #1 contender. I mean, what can you say? If you've watched any Abyss matches, you know the guy is a monster. He could take some pain. And now you have that little guy trying to knock the big tree down. Awesome, awesome match. Again, it's a lot of these are coming from the early years, but can you really tell me that, let's say, Eddie Edwards versus Sami Callihan is hotter than any of the matches that I've named so far?
No.
I don't think so. No. So, number 14, I just mentioned how Kurt Angle was putting this guy over. Desmond Wolfe. Do you know who Desmond Wolfe is?
Nigel McGuinness.
That's right. I was mad when they had to change his name, but I think that there may
I like
have been...
I like Nigel McGuinness. Desmond Wolfe.
I love
is cool.
Nigel. But Desmond Wolfe, I was going to say, it's a badass name. Like, if I wanted to be... Like, that's a great alias. Desmond was being pushed. I mean, he walked right in, and the first person that he was having a feud with is Kurt Angle. What is that telling you? They knew he was going to be big. He was, at that point, I think now, the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion at that point. So they knew what they had on their hands. unfortunately, due to his health, if you haven't watched, there's a great documentary out there that it's kind of self-produced by him that he kind of pushed to get watched. I know they did the one on the network about him.
Right.
Similar, a little longer. But obviously he had health problems and had to step away from wrestling. But he did have a couple of great matches with Kurt Angle before that happened. This one was a 3 degrees of pain, 2 out of 3 falls, if you will, or 3 stages of hell. At Final Resolution 2009. It was his best match in the company, but that's not saying much when he was there for less than a year. But I really think, could have been a guy that, had he not gone through the health issues that he did, I think he would have been probably one of the most predominant people in TNA of all time. WWE, he went there, he had the opportunity, and he chose TNA. How about that? In number lucky 13, you have AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. I'm a huge fan of Iron Man matches. Iron Man is cool. It's a good concept. The first one I ever watched, of course, was probably the first one that a lot of us watched, which was WrestleMania 12. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. You know, in WCW, they had a lot of 30-minute Iron Man matches. WWE would do them only for the world title, but you don't really see it much for the Intercontinental title. You know, they're secondary titles. Here, they're doing it in TNA with the X Division title. And that is, you know, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, 2 of your best wrestlers on your roster, especially at that time for Against All Odds 2005. It's 2 of your best. They're the ones that help build your X Division, and putting them in a 30-minute match, you can't go wrong. In any match, putting those guys together, you couldn't go wrong. Number 12. This is another great match, and I'll spoil it here. This is Joe's first official defeat, and he has that loss handed to him by Kurt Angle with Genesis 2006. Also, it was a Russo rushed project. Russo wanted to have that defeat, but he also wanted to just really push the Angle and Samoa Joe feud. So it was Russo's idea for him to be defeated so quickly as soon as Angle jumped into the company. I agree. I think it could have been held off a little longer before that defeat, but maybe Angle didn't even need to be defeated between their matches. Just kind of an odd push, but then again, that's Vince Russo for you. Number 11, this match right here, you know, these guys are the cornerstone of the X Division. 3 big players. Low Key, Jerry Lynn, and AJ Styles. Throw you back here. In 2002, 2003, TNA, they didn't have a TV deal that was weekly for a cable channel. What they did was they had a weekly pay-per-view, and I want to say it was somewhere around $4.99. That's it, each week. And it was a weekly pay-per-view if you chose to order it. I actually ordered a couple. And what got me to do it is they actually gave away a free one on pay-per-view one night with the best of. That's how I exactly got into TNA, is they gave a best of. And this match was actually on there. And it's an X Division ladder match. Again, Jerry Lynn, AJ Styles, and defending champ Low Key. Very, very high-flying, fast-paced, and good spot fest type match. Not too many spots, but enough that it was a good contendership for the title. You knew what you were going for. It wasn't just to make the spots like you see nowadays in a lot of the ladder matches. So, now we're getting into our top 10. Earlier, I talked about this team, America's Most Wanted. Again, from a weekly pay-per-view in 2003, they are in a World Tag Team Title Steel Cage match against Triple X. Triple X is Elix Skipper and the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels. Mentioned that earlier. This is actually the first cage match in the company, and they are in year 2. I like that. You know, I was a fan of Cody in that ladder match against Wardlow. It was cool. But it's kind of one of those things that's like, man, I kind of wish they held off gimmick matches a little bit, because then it's anticipation. Just show us your wrestling first. Not saying that I mean, I love a good gimmick match, but I like that they held off. They just had the guys predominantly shown in other ways.
Right.
You know, we also had the 6-sided ring, so that's a weird way of presenting it anyway.
That too.
Number 8. Oh, no, I apologize. Number 9. Skip down too many. Number 9, Petey Williams. Yeah, I was a very, very big fan of Petey Williams, especially when he got hooked up with Scott Steiner and basically became his mini-me. That was so fun to watch. And that wasn't even his best stuff. He was the king of the X Division, was a hell of a hand working with everybody there. And one of his biggest feuds is with Chris Sabin, who's in this match, as well as AJ Styles. This triple threat match ended with the phenomenal forearm I think that everybody has seen. You have Petey Williams and Chris fighting it out for the X Division title, hanging from their ropes. And if you remember how the X Division Ultimate X match went about, is you had 4 cable wires, or 2 kind of crisscrossing against each other from poles above the ring, and that's where the belt is hanging. You got to scale that rope just to get over to get the title. And while the 2 guys are fighting for it, AJ hits a nice phenomenal forearm off the rope only to hit the title, and that's how he wins the title in the X Division Championship Ultimate X match. It's a hard thing to say. Another cool concept. I think it's cool. But you have to be very, very, athletic, limber, any word you want to go with, to climb those things. And it doesn't always go as well as you want. You want to talk about a funny thing that happened on that January 4th head-to-head Impact and Raw episode? Oh man, I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was possibly Homicide. Yeah, he's the X Division champion, and he's trying to get away from everybody, and he's supposed to be climbing the roof of the cage to get out of the hole. He couldn't do it. Could not make it out of the hole. And Jeff Hardy was supposed to basically meet him up there at the top. Jeff ended up coming in much sooner because Homicide was just kind of dangling, and he could not get his weight up enough to get to the top. So, again, I mean, you got to be really strong to climb a freaking pole and then scale across a rope after you've been doing some of these things. I don't care. I mean, if people think that they look like they're blowing up on purpose or like breathing heavy,
right?
Any of the stuff you're doing there, I can't imagine climbing something and then having to use all the strength in my body to win the match. And AJ won with not even having to do that. Good for him. Now, number 8, Lockdown 2008. This is, again, steel cage match because we're in lockdown, and it is officially Samoa Joe's big world title win. He takes on Kurt Angle. This match is very, very MMA inspired, to the point where Kurt Angle comes to the ring in MMA-type gear. He's taped up with his fist. He's ready to go. And it was a good, hard-fought barn burner. Right? It was just a slobber knocker of a match. And Joe finally gets his big win. I love that match just because I'm a huge Samoa Joe fan. Don't think it was his best match of all time, but good to finally see him go over. Number 7, we have America's Most Wanted. They're back, and they're taking on a team that we just talked about them against, Triple X. Except in this one, we're talking a whole year later at 2004's Turning Point. It's a steel cage match, and the losing team is going to split up. Both teams eventually split up. So who do you think wins? This one I'm going to let you watch because this is a great match. And the only giveaway from this that I will say, probably TNA's most infamous spot and most watched spot in history, where Skipper tightrope walks the top of the cage, only do a Hurricane Rana on someone. Just one of the coolest moves I love watching that. And that's actually one of the first things I got to see on that free pay-per-view that they gave away. I go, holy shit. Right. You would never see anybody do that anytime in WWE. Except what? Undertaker walking the ropes? That would probably be the closest thing we would have had.
That's closest.
And Skipper was not holding anybody's hand that way. So, again, someone's going to lose their tag team partner that night. I think that's a cool way. Instead of just guys breaking up, you have to break up because of the match. That's a cool way. I don't think you get that very often. I don't think WWE's ever done that before. Number 6, he's back again. Christopher Daniels, he's back again. Samoa Joe, and he's back again. AJ Styles. These guys, again, they are probably the three most elite names that were at the beginning and ran through the company as long as they could before they didn't want to drown with a sinking boat. And in this match, it's for the world title, and AJ Styles is your world champ. This match is kind of a throwback, or maybe kind of a nod to their greatest match of all time that was a 5-star rank match. And I don't mean just these guys. I'm talking about the company's match. So I'm sure you're going to have an idea where we're going from here. But it was a rematch. I don't think it was anywhere near the level of the first one. But being that this one was 10 years later, 9 years, and it was a different, everybody's in completely different roles and character modes. Very, very well put together match. I love watching all three of these guys. Daniels is one of those guys I always wished that went to WWE, but now as I kind of see how things always turned out, like especially for someone like Samoa Joe, I'm like, nah, it's okay. You didn't have to go.
Yeah, he was there, actually. He started there, I think.
I know. He was in the Attitude Era on Raw. Yep. In some dark matches, which is crazy. And he had hair. That's another thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is weird to see anytime. Number 5. They're going at it again. Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. This is their very first ever TNA meeting, and it comes at the end of the Super X Cup Finals. So with that whole tournament that went on, it's X Cup, so it's very X Division type or Cruiserweight type fast-paced matches that TNA was known for. And the whole tournament based around these two guys having their very first ever match against each other in the company in the finals. Well put together. Number 4 it was kind of a part of the Bound for Glory series, but they ended up turning the Bound for Glory series this particular year into a world title tournament series. And in that world title semifinals match, at No Surrender 2010, Jeff Hardy took on Kurt Angle. This match was a 30-minute back and forth classic that went to a draw. No one saw the draw coming. But it put other things in motion for the rest of the tournament, which is very cool. But I think everybody was hoping to see, at this point, Hardy go over Kurt Angle. Hardy right now at this time, not even anywhere close to the whole drugged out phase. Actually, at this point right now, he is face. He hasn't even gone heel to do the whole, I want to say authority, but I forgot what, they had so many different things, but when he joined up with Hogan, Abyss, and all of them, that's when Hardy went full-blown heel, and then from there, that's when you can kind of see how he even digressed as just a person almost when it came to all those videos and things like that. But in his first beginning run when he was face, I liked it. I did like his face run, actually, years later when he was apologetic and, in the road to redemption. But again, this match, Hardy is just getting into the company. He did that jump from WWE. He was a world title holder facing CM Punk at SummerSlam just months prior. Just about a year prior. So I think everybody had the thought that Jeff Hardy was going to go over. Goes into a draw. Excellent match. We talked about a team possibly splitting up. This one did for sure. And that's America's Most Wanted. When they finally went at it, they did have a match on a pay-per-view prior to this, but it was dog shit, so it never obviously made any ranking. But they redeemed themselves. James Storm and Chris Harris in a Texas death match at Sacrifice 2007. Easily their most bloodiest brawl of the company's history. And it's funny because the second one, I think, would be Bob Roode and James Storm in their match that they had. Because James Storm, he bleeds hard, man. Whatever his secret is to know how to blade, he does a good job. This match is just him and Chris Harris both beat the living shit out of each other. And one man has to go over. Who is the who is the man that finally kind of steps out of the shadows of the tag team that was America's Most Wanted. Number 2, I think these guys have already made the list before facing each other.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of him. AJ Styles takes on Samoa Joe for the X Division title at Turning Point 2005. This is a couple of months that was after the first match that they... no, I apologize. I'm sorry. This is actually a couple of months after what our number 1 match is going to be. At this point, Joe still has the record of not being pinned. You could say undefeated, but if you're in a triple threat match and you didn't win, I think that you kind of are defeated. But no one actually put his shoulders to the mat at this point, and he is trying to take that X Division title from AJ Styles. Great match between these guys. You can't go wrong when you put Joe and Styles in the ring. You can't go wrong with pretty much any of the guys that made this list today, especially Bob Roode. But coming in at number 1, and it happens to be the Professor's suggested match of the week, it is that 5-star classic. It is that triple threat match between AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and the defending longest reigning X Division champion at that time, Christopher Daniels. And this happened at Unbreakable 2005. Easily the very best triple threat match in any company's history. I will put that up against any company. So innovative. But even more than the fact that it's innovative, this is the main event of this pay-per-view. The world champion is not their main focus. They took their 3 best talent that they had on that card and said, we trust you. This match, I think, was just a touch over 20-something minutes. 30 if you're putting all the entrances in there and the announcements. Excellent match. The finish was very cool. I won't give it away. If you've honestly never seen this match, I will not give this one away for you because it was a great match. Well, if you kind of listen to what I said a couple minutes ago.
I was just going to say that.
Whatever.
We ruined a good surprise on you.
I'm telling you, man, in 3 weeks, I am fucking you up in Promo Wars. So, honestly, great match. You're going to want to see this. One of my favorite things, though, about it is I just can't get over it, is they had ways of really promoting things back in the day, TNA, and I think it's still just kind of funny that when you see Joe take a dive out the ropes, the apron says Gretchen Wilson. They were kind of cross-promoting with some things at the same time, and it's just funny to go back and you're like, God damn it, I'm watching these 3 great talents in the ring, and all I can go is, I'm a redneck woman. It's a good song. I think maybe that'll be my new intro song for our show.
Okay. It's all you.
Well, I thought that was a good list. That's a lot of great matches.
It is one hell of a list, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, I really mean this. Probably one of my favorite favorite top topic lists that we've done, just because really it was a throwback to sit there and think about all these matches and how they kind of shaped the future of some of these guys. You know, from Kurt Angle to Jeff Hardy to Bob Roode. So what's coming up in the next couple of weeks here? Next week, we talk the other company that I kind of was hoping that would maybe be a contender for WWE at some point, but looking kind of grim these days, Ring of Honor. We know that there's been a little bit of a resurgence with Marty Scurll being there and with Delirious, so hopefully things turn in a good way. Maybe a little more than just Jeff Cobb showing up on one show one time.
Yeah, right.
But that's going to be fun, man. Think about the guys you got. You got the Briscoes, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Nigel McGuinness, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Adam Cole, baby, Jay Lethal, Red Dragon, which is Undisputed Era. Everybody in fucking Undisputed Era. A lot of the Bullet Club. So, man, 25 is going to be really tough, but we're going to have like 16 honorable mentions. In 2 weeks, it'll be perfect because we're having the pay-per-view this weekend, so you have a couple matches that could possibly be added to it. In 2 weeks, we are going to have the top 10 AEW matches so far. It's been less than a year that the company has been in full mode, or at least we'll say from Dynamite to Dynamite,
weekly
from
TV.
October to October. Yeah, with
weekly
TV. most of the matches are not coming from TV anyway. I don't know, man. There was that Iron Man match with Pac and Kenny Omega. Damn, I don't know.
There was the Darby-Cody match.
There was. You know what I will never say? Is that the Young Bucks versus Paige and Omega was the greatest tag team match of all time.
No,
Fucking
it wasn't.
Dave Meltzer.
Yeah.
But in 3 weeks from today, apparently it's already started because last week I took a couple shots. This week he took a couple shots. No respect. That's all right. That's okay because our season finale may even have a little bit of In Your House, but it's going to be the very first season's version of Promo War. That's right. We're going head to head. Nothing is off the table. But, well, maybe. All right, hang on. Let's not get like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and start calling out personal family things. Like maybe ODM may have cheated on Mrs. ODM. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Let's not go personal.
Wow. I won't even bring your dogs into it.
Wow. I didn't say shit about your kids, but now you already mentioned my dogs?
This might be the last episode of Top Wrestling ever.
ODM Jr. is fucked. No, but it's going to be Professor versus ODM. 3 rounds. We haven't fully decided each one of the rounds, I guess, promo goal. You know, maybe it's whatever reason that one will be about. We'll have a topic for them. But it could be very well the end of ODM. Maybe I'll be hosting this show by myself. Who knows? Been
He's already got a replacement lined up for me, so...
That's right, Nightwing. We'll see you soon. But on that episode, number 25, that will be the season finale for the Top of Wrestling podcast. We thought we'd be able to have the steam and momentum to go nonstop 52 weeks a year like Raw, but we got to recharge the batteries. And the only reason for that, we're going to make a couple changes.
And beyond that, Professor and I, you may not realize this, actually have other things in common than wrestling. So we actually like to talk about other things too. So this will be a nice welcome little break to just kind of reconnect. Especially after we just murder each other on the microphone.
Well, I was just going to say, so after that, maybe I need to record our personal phone conversations on the side because you never know. We're in the middle of talking about the greatness of Motley Crue, and all of a sudden we just start yelling at each other, and that could be a little extra stuff for you guys to hear what happened to us when we come back. But
and
we are going to take a break.
Yep, and we're going to work on a video documentary showing you how we prepare for the show.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys don't know this, I'll even give him a little bit of a head start into that promo war. If I tell him, hey, we're recording at 2 o'clock, he goddamn knows well that he has at least 30 or 40 extra minutes before I'm ready to call. I am always late. Professor, I'm the professor that shows up late, where it's like, well, 5-minute rule. If he doesn't show up, we're not recording today. But we are going to be coming back with some fresh stuff, new planned segments that we have. Kind of keeping things fresh, not stale, like good old Vinnie Mac. One thing that we are going to be adding to the show when we come back, you know how much we love talking about Vinnie Mac's favorite phrase? Well, we are going to have a weekly segment that is going to be called the Nightwing Analyst's Good Shit.
It's good shit.
God, I can't. He said, he's like, we got to do this, man. You guys say it every week. Let's just make it a reason we have to say it every week. I love it.
I'm looking forward to talking to Nightwing Analyst.
Absolutely. And what he's going to do each week, he's going to bring the top good shit of each week. So it may only be the best. There's one thing this week was a promo, or here's a match that was good shit, or the best progression in storyline was this shit this week. That's what we're aiming for. One good shit. All right. I think we've said that enough. Might as well just go ahead and say...
War Games!
Ball Brood!
That worked out so perfectly. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, good stuff. Good shit.
Good shit.
All right, well, we're getting out of here. Loopier than last week, even better. I am the Professor. I bid you a farewell. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. And this week, ODM is leaving us all with the magic number that Michael Jordan wore, 23 words.
I am willing to give WWE a pass on some things because of COVID, but the brand-to-brand invitation, kiss my ass.
Bob Roode.
You're not mine. This difference helps me cross the line. Every time I'm confronted, I'm